Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless Official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Claire Newman had spent months, maybe even years, weaving a delicate web around Genoa city, a web so invisible, so deceptively elegant, that everyone who stepped into it believed she was nothing more than a reformed young woman trying to find her place in a world that never stopped punishing her for sins committed by her twisted past. But that illusion shatters the moment Harrison Locke steps forward, trembling, pale, but brimming with a furious courage no one had ever seen from the sweet, gentle boy, because Harrison has finally remembered everything Claire hoped he never would, and as his voice cracks through the suffocating silence of the Abbott mansion, every secret, every crime, every manipulation Claire ever orchestrated comes spilling out like poison from a fractured bottle, leaving Kyle Abbott frozen, staring at the woman he thought he understood but clearly never knew at all, while Holden Novak stands in the corner with an expression that shifts slowly from calculated calm to something far darker, something that exposes a truth Claire has spent her entire life trying to bury. Harrison whispers first, his small voice trembling, but each word is a dagger. The night Claire took him into the woods under the guise of a game, the whispered threats she delivered when he tried to run, the way she made him lie to Kyle and Summer, the way she forced him to keep the secret about Los Angeles, about the mysterious cabin, about Holden's strange late-night conversations with Claire when they believed Harrison had fallen asleep. And Kyle stands there, his heart thundering in his ears, the air stolen from his lungs, trying to reconcile the version of Claire he defended with everything his son is bravely exposing. But nothing prepares him for what happens next, because as Harrison's terrified breaths grow steadier, as his memories come pouring out in vivid detail, Claire's mask begins to crack, her pretty facade slipping as panic flickers behind her eyes, and Holden, instead of defending her, instead of shielding her like he always did, simply watches with a serpent's patience, as if he has been waiting for this exact moment, this explosion, this implosion, this unveiling of the monster he helped create. Kyle demands answers, his voice fierce, trembling, emotional, but Claire refuses to look at him, refuses to acknowledge Harrison's recounting of the torment she inflicted, and that's when Harrison, tears streaking down his cheeks, shouts the words no one expects, "She told me I belonged to her." A chilling silence follows, thick and suffocating, and Kyle feels the floor tilt beneath him because that doesn't make sense, that can't make sense. But Harrison continues, saying Claire told him he was her blood, that he was hers long before Kyle ever claimed him, and the room spins as Kyle tries desperately to understand what the boy means, what Claire has done, and Holden finally steps forward with a cold, twisted half-smile, the kind that carries both triumph and horror, as he tells Kyle the truth Claire has been hiding since Los Angeles. Harrison is Claire's son. The revelation detonates like an explosive device in Kyle's chest, knocking the breath out of him, while Claire finally snaps, screaming at Holden to stop, to shut up, to let her explain, but Holden doesn't budge. Instead, he revels in her panic, feeding off it, savoring each crumbling piece of Claire's composure as her long-kept secret is dragged into the light. Kyle's eyes dart between them, between Claire, shaking, pale, desperate, and Holden, whose sinister calm sends shivers through the room, and Kyle realizes something even more disturbing. The bond between Claire and Holden wasn't emotional, it was strategic, deliberate, predatory, and Holden always held the power. Holden continues speaking as if reciting a victory speech, revealing how Claire didn't just set traps for the Abbotts and Newmans, she'd set one for Kyle from the start, manipulating his guilt, his compassion, his fatherly instinct, all to keep Harrison close, because Claire knew the truth would one day surface, and she needed Kyle emotionally entangled when it did. But the darkest blow hasn't landed yet. Holden reveals that Claire gave birth in secrecy, hidden away, isolated, terrified, and someone stole the baby from her arms the moment he was born. Claire never knew what happened to the child, never knew if he lived or died, until she stumbled across Harrison in a moment of pure fate and recognized him instantly, not because she felt a connection, but because of a birthmark behind his left ear, a birthmark identical to the one she herself has. Kyle sways, nausea clawing up his throat, the world crashing in on him, but the question that burns through his mind, the question Holden refuses to answer directly, is the one that matters more than anything: who is the father? Holden smirks, glancing sideways at Claire, then at Kyle, dragging out the suspense with a cruel flair, before saying the words that send the room into chaos. She doesn't know. Claire breaks then, her strength, her lies, her carefully constructed manipulations, crumbling all at once as she screams through tears that she was drugged, that she was taken, that she remembers nothing of the night she conceived her child. Kyle staggers back, unable to breathe, unable to think, unable to comprehend the nightmare unfolding in front of him. Harrison clings to his father's hand, though now even that certainty is shaken, and whispers something that guts Kyle completely. Am I yours? It is a question no child should ever have to ask. Claire tries to move toward Harrison, but Kyle blocks her, his face drained of all warmth, all trust, all affection, because now he sees the truth, everything she ever told him, every sob story, every vulnerable moment, every tear, every apology, it was all manipulation, all strategy, all survival. Holden, meanwhile, steps deeper into the light, revealing the truth Claire always feared. He wasn't her protector. He wasn't her mentor. He wasn't her ally. He was her captor. The man who tormented her. The man who kept her dependent. The man who ensured she remained fractured, confused, and emotionally susceptible to his control. He smirks as he explains how he helped orchestrate the abduction years ago and how Claire was too drugged, too traumatized, too broken to remember what he did or why he did it. And the sickening realization dawns, Holden might be the father. But then he twists the knife deeper by saying Kyle might be, too. Suddenly, every strange moment, every odd tension, every inexplicable pull between Claire and Kyle takes on a new, horrific meaning. Claire sobs now, raw, ugly, devastating, as she pleads with Kyle to believe she never meant for Harrison to be dragged into this, that she was terrified he'd discover the truth and reject her, that she just wanted her child back, that she didn't mean to hurt Harrison the way she did, but Kyle is done. He has nothing left to give her. No sympathy. No understanding. No forgiveness. Not after this. Not after Harrison's trauma. Not after the twisted paternity nightmare she unleashed upon his innocent son's life. He demands to know whether she would have told him the truth if Harrison hadn't remembered. Claire falls silent. And that silence is louder, heavier, more painful than any confession she could have possibly made. As the emotional storm rages, Harrison begins trembling again, because despite everything, despite the horror Claire put him through, part of him is still a child searching for reassurance, for clarity, for safety. Kyle scoops him up protectively, whispering that no matter what happens, no matter what the DNA test reveals, no matter whose blood Harrison carries, he will always be Harrison's dad. Holden steps forward again, insisting the truth needs to come out now, that paternity matters, that the world deserves to know, that Kyle deserves to know if he's raising Claire's child or if Harrison belongs to him, and that's when Kyle lunges, fury exploding, the weight of betrayal and loss too much to contain, as he slams Holden against the wall and growls that if Holden ever steps near Harrison again, if he ever speaks to him, looks at him, threatens him, manipulates him, he will end Holden's life without hesitation. Claire screams for them to stop, begging Kyle to let Holden go, because despite everything, despite the torture, despite the manipulation, she still feels an involuntary pull toward the man who conditioned her to fear and obey him. Kyle realizes this too and feels another wave of heartbreak, because Claire isn't just dangerous. She's broken in ways even she can't comprehend. And that brokenness has now seeped into Harrison's life. Then comes the final twist, the one no one sees coming. As Harrison cries in Kyle's arms, insisting he remembers something else, something important, he recalls Holden saying the night in the cabin, "Don't worry, kid, your mother may be worthless, but your father? He's standing right here." The room turns to ice. Claire collapses to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Kyle feels his entire body go rigid, his worst fear crystallizing. Holden just smiles, wide, victorious, chilling. But then Harrison whispers something else, something softer, smaller, but devastating, but he also said, "Unless the other one shows up." Silence. Holden's smug expression twitches, falters, cracks. And suddenly it becomes clear, Holden doesn't know. Holden has spent years believing Harrison was his, but even he isn't certain. Now, the truth hangs in the air like a loaded gun. The crimes are exposed. Claire's evil is undeniable. Harrison's trauma is undeniable. Holden's monstrous nature is undeniable. Kyle's heartbreak is undeniable. But one final question remains, the question that will change their lives forever: who fathered Harrison, Holden, or Kyle? And with everyone staring at one another, breathless, trembling, shattered, Kyle mutters the final words that bring the nightmare to its final apex: "We're getting a DNA test. Tonight." The word tonight lingers in the air, vibrating like a struck nerve, electrifying the entire room as the storm inside the Abbott mansion intensifies. Claire's breath stutters, her mind cracking open like thin ice under too much pressure. She stares at Kyle, at the anger, the betrayal, the devastation swirling through his expression, and she realizes there's no way out, no more lies she can spin, no softer version of the truth she can offer. The monster she tried to hide has torn itself free, and the people she wanted most to manipulate or protect, she can't even tell which anymore, now stand at the edge of a cliff she pushed them toward. Harrison whimpers against Kyle's chest, confused, overwhelmed, trying to make sense of the tidal wave of adult horror smothering the room. But Kyle's focus stays locked on Claire, his jaw clenched, his voice low and trembling with a rage dangerously close to violence as he says, "You are going to tell me everything. Right now. Every detail. Every lie. Every secret. Every memory you pretended to forget." Claire flinches, shaking her head, sobbing as she backs herself into a corner, curling into the wall as though she could disappear into it. Holden's eyes flick toward her, predator watching prey, but his expression quickly shifts back into smug neutrality, as if he's above the chaos he created. But Kyle's fury has reached a boiling point, and he snaps, "You. Shut your mouth," pointing a trembling finger at Holden with a glare so venomous it makes even Holden pause. "I swear to God, if you say one more word, I will make you regret it." Holden lifts both hands mockingly, pretending innocence. "Easy, Abbott. I'm just giving you what you wanted, the truth." "What I want," Kyle growls, voice low, cold, shaking, "is for you to be gone. For good. If Harrison is your son, if that's even remotely true, you don't get to be in his life. Not now. Not ever." Holden's smile spreads slowly, dangerously, like oil across water. "That's not your choice to make." "It is," Kyle snaps, "if I'm his father." Claire's sobs grow harsher, louder, broken. "Kyle, please, please stop." And oh, Kyle explodes, his voice echoing through the mansion with such force even Harrison jerks in fear. "You don't get to plead with me anymore, Claire. Not after what you've done." She folds onto her knees, hands over her ears, her voice a strangled whisper. "I didn't know. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." Holden scoffs. "She always says she doesn't know. Convenient, isn't it?" He leans back against the wall, crossing his arms. Poor little Claire. Always the victim. Always confused. Always traumatized. Except somehow, she always knows just enough to destroy someone else. Kyle spins toward him, fury blazing. "She was a victim. You made sure of that." Holden shrugs. "Maybe. Maybe not." Claire's head snaps up at that, fear, terror, despair ripping through her as she stares at Holden. What do you mean?" Holden simply smirks. "Why ruin the mystery?" Kyle turns away from him, focusing on Harrison, who's trembling so hard Kyle has to adjust his hold. He presses his forehead against Harrison's and whispers, "You're safe. No one's ever touching you again. I swear it." But then Harrison, voice small and shaky, whispers something back, words that freeze Kyle's blood solid. He said, "I have his eyes." The room plunges into a deeper silence than before. Claire's hands fall away from her face, her skin turning ghostly as she whispers, "He told you that?" Harrison nods, tears falling. Holden smirks, eyes gleaming with sick satisfaction. "Because he does." Kyle's stomach twists violently. You don't get to claim him. Biology claims him, Holden replies calmly. And biology doesn't give a damn about your feelings. Claire screams then, a raw, animalistic sound, rushing to her feet as she lunges toward Holden with such sudden aggression she almost looks possessed. Stop it. Stop it. Stop talking like you know anything. You don't know. She pounds her fists against his chest, her voice cracking into jagged pieces. You don't know what happened. You don't know who his father is. You don't know anything about that night. Holden catches her wrists with one hand, easily restraining her, his grip tight enough to make her cry out in pain. I know more than you think. Kyle slams forward, ripping Claire out of Holden's grasp with such force she collapses backward onto the couch. Don't touch her, he snarls at Holden, voice shaking with barely contained rage. Not ever again. Holden simply laughs. Still protecting her? Even after everything? Kyle ignores him and kneels in front of Claire, Harrison still clutched to his chest. Tell me, Kyle says, voice softer but laced with agony. Tell me what you remember. Claire looks up at him, eyes red, swollen, defeated. I remember, pieces, she whispers. Flashes. Voices. Hands. Maps. Needles. Pain. She shakes her head violently, hugging herself. I remember being cold. And scared. And him, her gaze jerks toward Holden, standing over me. Smiling. Holden smirks. Fond memory. Kyle almost lunges at him again, but Claire grabs his sleeve. Kyle, listen, please, her voice fractures as she continues, I don't know if it was him. I don't know if it was someone else. I don't know if you were there. I don't know anything except. She breaks completely, sobbing again. Harrison whispers, she hurts. Kyle's heart twists painfully, because even now, after everything, Harrison still sees Claire as someone hurting, someone wounded, someone in need of compassion. The innocence of it kills him. Claire, Kyle says softly, why did you take Harrison to the woods? Why did you make him lie? Why did you say he belonged to you? Claire's breath stutters again, her eyes filling with a haunted shame. Because I was afraid, she whispers. Afraid he'd remember me. Afraid you'd take him away when you found out. Afraid Holden would find him. Afraid the truth would destroy everything I'd built, everything I tried to be. I wanted him close. I wanted him safe. She chokes. I wanted something that was mine. Something pure. Something I didn't ruin. Holden laughs darkly. You ruined plenty. Claire squeezes her eyes shut. I know. Harrison tugs Kyle's shirt lightly. Daddy, can we go home? Kyle's voice breaks as he hugs Harrison tighter. Yes, buddy. We're leaving. Right now. But Holden steps forward. Not so fast. Kyle shields Harrison with his entire body. If you try to stop me. I'm not stopping you, Holden says with a cold smile. But if you walk out that door before a DNA test is done, Claire and I will take legal action. Public action. We'll demand custody. Joint or full. And we will win. Kyle's world tilts. You wouldn't, Kyle growls. Watch me. Claire shakes her head wildly. Holden, don't. But Holden cuts her off. He needs to know the truth. And so do you. Kyle shakes with fury. You're using a child as a weapon. Holden smirks. No. I'm using the law. Claire looks like she might vomit. Kyle is trapped. If he leaves, Holden will drag this into court, into the press, into the darkest corners of Claire's past, and Harrison will be destroyed. But if Kyle stays, he risks letting Holden close, risks letting this monster hold any kind of influence over Harrison's fate. Then Claire speaks, softly, shakily, but clearly. I'll do the test, she whispers. Tonight. I'll do whatever Kyle wants. Holden turned sharply. Claire. Now she stands, shaky but resolute. I'm done letting you control me. I'm done letting you speak for me. I'm done letting you twist everything. Her voice trembles, but her eyes finally show a flicker of strength. I will tell the truth. I will take the test. I will face whatever comes next. Holden's eyes narrow, cold fury replacing amusement. You're making a mistake. Claire swallows hard. Maybe for the first time, it's my mistake. Not yours. Kyle watches all of this in stunned silence. This is the first time he's ever seen Claire push back against Holden. And it terrifies him, because it proves just how deep Holden's control runs. He finally nods.